And I'm sure you've been doing some seminars here and there, but basically for those of us watching us right now, if you want to break barriers and move into places, do we also have to have that drive, that kind of intrinsic motivation? What advice would you give?
I think it's really interesting because I am actually going to be launching a program called Seen and Heard, and it's an executive coaching program along with some other things as well, as I bring it back to Ghana. But to answer your question specifically, I think there are a number of things that we all have to do. In order for you first to find your drive, you have to know who you are. Okay. You need to know what your identity is in, let's say, the workplace, right? So, for example, what type of leader, what type of person that you are. If, for example, then for me, it's been really clear about your direction. And I think what I have found, Jay, a lot of people are not clear about that. They don't know, they know they want to be successful.
They just don't know.
But they don't know the steps in between. The steps in between are discovering who you are. What are you good at? What support do you need? What are your gaps? What are your blind spots? What is holding you back? How do you discover what is holding you back? If you're in this role at this time in this organization, what do you need to deliver in that role to showcase your value to the organization and yourself, that you are indeed capable for more responsibility? And then the progression happens from there, because your work will speak for itself.
The way you speak, you remind me of one of my directors. It's like he'll tell you to perform a role, and it's like the first time you do it, you just do it nonchalantly. Listen, and then he tells you why you have to do it. It's like you have to know your why.
Absolutely.
Then you perform according to that. And do people really find it a challenge discovering who they are? Because some people argue perhaps where they are situated, the geography of where they are, the institutions are not there to help them to build on their dreams. Because you may find your passion, what you want to do, but it's like there's no framework that will allow you to move yourself forward. What do you have to say to that?
I empathize and I get it. And that's why my program about Seen and Heard is going to help a lot of people. But I think that what I would say is it does take some work, right, to know who you are and tend to be really clear about your personal roadmap to success. A lot of people that I'm sure that you'll speak to in your career, they'll tell you a little bit about a path. They'll tell you a little bit about certain things that they did. A lot of it comes with discomfort. Often people that are truly, truly successful, they've been through some level of adversity, some level of discomfort, some level of, I don't really know what I am doing here at this moment, but I will keep going.
Why am I still doing this? But I need to go on.
Absolutely. And I think what I have found, people do not understand the terrain of which they're operating in.
Oh, really?
You work in an organization. An organization is an institution of people. There is a culture. There is a way of doing things. Why is it that some people progress and why is it others don't? What is it about me that shows my value versus you don't show your value? How do you know what value is important for your boss and what isn't? When is it appropriate to speak up in a meeting? When is it actually this is not the time? How do you know all of those things? It's not what they teach you at uni. It's not what they teach you at business school. That is a whole different terrain. That's why individuals go and get people like me who are coaches or former HR directors to be able to really sit down and say, Irene, I want to progress my career. How do I do it? I've been working, I have lots of conversations, particularly with women. I want to progress my career. I'm doing all the work. Nothing is coming.
What do I do now?
What do you do now? And I am saying, come and talk to me. That's what you need to do. But aside from that, you need to stop, reflect in a quiet space, and you need to take steps. I'm a better leader than I've been in the last 10 years because I've worked on myself. I think to have the notion that you can be completely successful without having any guidance and development, I'm not talking about a mentor. I'm talking about someone who sits down and says, how do you approach this? When you deliver X, why are you even delivering this piece of work? Why are you even doing this role?
Know the why.
Where are you taking yourself next after that? And a lot of people don't have those secrets. And that's what's helped me be successful to the place that I am today.
Okay, and let me go back to the BBC. What would you, when it comes to diversity and inclusion, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's, are there hurdles that people have to face when it comes to that, or it's quite a smooth?
Oh gosh, no. Of course, there are absolute hurdles because we are human beings and we all have some level of bias, unconscious or conscious. I think what is important, and I completely wholeheartedly support the diversity and equity and inclusion and belonging programs. I think that's really important because I think at the heart of all of this, I believe in inclusion. It is about, we can come from different places. You and I can grow up in the same hometown. We have different views and experiences.
Yeah.
We have different perspectives. Just because your view is different to mine and vice versa doesn't mean that you're treated any less or any better than I am.
Yeah.
So I think what is important with inclusion is having the open mind, and equity for me is about having us being on the same level playing field, because social background will be a factor. Some people weren't able to go to university because of social circumstances. I got the opportunity, but when we come into the workplace, we should have the same access.
The level playing field, yeah.
Exactly. We should have the same access. And I think that that's where work, that's where outcomes, because the thing that we don't often talk about in Ghana is outcomes. It is about delivery. You can be doing a job, but what is your output? What is your delivery?
So it's like we should begin with the end in mind. Like we know where we are headed before. We don't just
we
go
don't
without knowing where we are going.
That's
But like
right.
we are going.
That's right. So often when you meet successful people and they'll say to you, I had a vision 10 years ago.
It's like something they've,
It's not maybe it's not every single day, but it's a vision that I will be. But you can't have a vision, I'll be successful. But guess what?
You don't know what you'll be successful about.
But you're not doing any work. Success is about, it's the same way as running a marathon. You prepare for the long distance.
You can't just wake up one day and be like, I'm going to run 10 kilometers. And
Absolutely.
You just die.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reality is, in that journey, you will need different things. There is a time, like I said, you'll need an executive coach. There's a time you'll need a mentor. There's a time you need to just put your head down and do the work. And some of these periods will be of great discomfort because it might feel like you're not progressing.
I'm going to put you on the spot right now.
Because
you keep mentioning successful people, and I'd like to include you in that. And you mention periods where they grow through great discomfort.
Yeah.
What would you say was one of your greatest discomforts in your career?
Yeah.
Something you really had to overcome in order to become who you are?
I think I've got a good example of when I moved to South Africa, when it was a completely different cultural experience. I had just moved from the UK to Ghana. I spent a couple of years in Ghana, and there I was, a full expatriate in a different country with it's still Africa, but a completely different context. And I came in to lead a team that I didn't have that direct specialism.
Okay.
That was discomforting because I was hired there based on my ability and my potential, not necessarily on my expertise. And I think what was discomforting was I was showing my discomfort because I've come to this and I'm trying to do well.
Yeah.
And so far it's all been successful. And then all of a sudden,
it's like
it's not working. The way I used to do things, it's not working. The way I'm leading the team is not working. And I remember at the time, my boss had a really deep conversation with me and said, what's happening? What's going on? Because I felt like, I think I'm going to fail.
Yeah.
But it was I was out there with my family. Have a mindset check. I had to have a mentor, and I actually had a coach that says every week, let's work through what are the issues? What are you facing? Why do you feel the way you feel? What is it about what you're hearing yourself? Why are you showing up in that way? It's deep, deep work. When you get to that deep work, it's amazing what it can unlock for you. And that was way back. That was a way back.
That was way back. But you know, it's like I realized that it's like you always, you always touch on the fact that you can't do it alone. You always need some kind of support, especially when you realize there's a challenge going on. Now you step down from the BBC. What's next for you?
Well, this is where the exciting. You've heard me say, Jay, a few times, my Seen and Heard program. So first of all, I'm now positioned myself to be a strategic HR advisor. So the first thing that I do is I want to use my 25 years of experience in HR. Thank you. To support organisations. So if you want to come to me and have a conversation because your organisation needs some help with some people issues, I'm not talking operational, I'm talking big future. We want to change the skill set of the organisation. We want a different type of operating model. I work with CEOs and founders and senior people to look at what do we need to do about the people? What do we need to do about the organisation structure? Then I also support through my executive coaching, one-to-one coaching for senior executives who are facing some of these challenges at the crossroads. And then thirdly, I'm going to be launching in January my Seen and Heard executive coaching program that talks a lot about how I can help unlock, support and coach individuals into success, that they will go on to be hugely successful. And a lot of this is from my methodology, and I've also been accredited and trained.
Irene, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure too, Jay.
It's amazing listening to you, and I don't want the conversation to end, but we have to go. But for those who you are doing Seen and Heard, so for those who are seeing and hearing you, not just for the HR people, but for all of us watching, give 5 leadership tips quickly, and then we go. Just mention 5.
Okay. So 1, being visible. 2, let's deal with imposter syndrome. Right. I think writing a personal development plan. About what you're going to do going forward, getting 3 sets of feedback from colleagues that you who will be constructive, and I think the 5th one will be continue to invest in your development.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Speaking with Irene Asare, who was a former Global HR Director for BBC News and Current Affairs. She's also a strategic HR advisor, executive coach, and the founder, Calvin Clay. We'll speak about that founding later.
Yes.
For now, you have to go have a conversation about the Mahal Beach Resort. A lot is happening on GTV Breakfast. So we'll be back right after this break.